All right, so we're going to talk a little bit here about compression. So, as I've said before, I've worked with a number of different coaches, and some of them have different opinions on how to do things. So, one of the things that people have said, and it's not me, it's other coaches that I've worked with and other rowers, um, is that when the water is rough, when conditions are bad, what we want to do is shorten up that strokes. Don't go quite as far up the slide. And the rationale for this is that by keeping the stroke a little bit shorter, we're going to keep the boat a little more stable because the closer we get to the catch, the more unstable that boat is going to be because we're putting all of our mass over a tinier point in that boat, which means that it's more stable. If we're sitting at our legs extended position, just sitting nice and relaxed, we've got our body weight spread out basically from our feet to where our shoulders are, shoulders, back, hips, etc., assuming we're sitting straight upright or perhaps laying back a little bit. We've got that weight spread out over a long area, which gives us a nice solid base. Once we compress to our full compression point, we have that very tall point. It's over a very small point because again, the distance then from our hips to our toes is going to be very compressed, and that's why it's compression. This again is something that I disagree with. I think we want to always keep our length. Now, this is a bit of a high risk, high reward situation because again, we're keeping that compression in rougher conditions um, in order to utilize those big muscles, the big propulsive muscles, the quads, the glutes, etc. Right, those big lower body muscles that are going to drive that boat. Now, I tend to be of the mindset when I'm coaching people, I say, go big or go home, right? Try to do the best you can. Don't play it safe. It's when people start playing it safe that doubt creeps in, that we change our stroke, that we then have to start thinking a lot more. And I don't like, uh, this sounds silly, but I say I don't like a lot of thinking while I'm racing or while people that I'm coaching are racing. Um, and of course, you do want to be thinking about strategy and how you're implementing your race plan and all these other things, but you don't want to be thinking about the stroke. You want the stroke to be ingrained. You want your basic pattern, your basic rhythm, your basic stroke design to be the same. Okay. So none of that stuff should change. That should be ingrained. So once we start changing things during a race situation, we end up taking energy off the end of the blade and putting it effectively into controlling our body more. So we're going to look at a situation here. This was back in the 2016 European Rowing Championships. And we're going to watch because the conditions were really bad. So this is why I say we want to keep that compression no matter what. You cannot get cowed into shortening up and rowing in a fearful situation. Okay. Now, of course, this means that you might also flip, in which case you're not going to get any result at all. But to me, at least then you go to the dock and you say, hey, I freaking went for it. I gave it everything I had and I got a bad stroke. I caught a wave, whatever, and the boat flipped. No big deal. And to me, there's no shame in that. Right? Here we go. So we're going to look at this here and we're going to look at the conditions. So we're going to watch these crews here off the start. So we're going to come to the start. Here we go. And we're going to watch. And we see that the water conditions here are bad, but they're not absolutely atrocious as they will become a little bit later. These are definitely tough conditions. So we see people take off not too terribly. And they're rowing pretty well. And I hate how this thing here comes into the screen whenever I move my mouse. Worldrowing.com videos. I'm not a big fan of their video player. There's also no frame forward, so I won't be able to do any of that. And we see here most people, look at this. Napkova, she's getting nice compression. Spur is a little short. Magdalena Lobnik, who's peeling out there, she's getting pretty good compression here, right? Right up there. Karsten, she's getting pretty decent compression. So they're all doing okay, right? They're all doing okay. And here we see Lobnik, she's really working for it. We see here, not bad compression by Napkova, pretty good by Paspure, and Golbe there is falling off the pace. Okay? So now you can see the water conditions are getting rough. And as making it much more difficult to row through. So we're going to jump ahead here now. We're going to come up to about 4 minutes and 12 seconds. We're going to see what's happening here with Napkova. And Napkova, again, none of the people that we're talking about are bad rowers. They're all freaking excellent rowers. But this is something that can affect anybody at any level, right? You get into these conditions and it is worrisome. So we can see how she's already shortening up. She has some bad strokes. Whoa, right? And boom, suddenly the compression is not there anymore. Okay, now we're coming here to Puspure. Look at her. Look at where she's compressing to. She's slowed it down, right? Because these conditions are gnarly. Okay, these are freaking gnarly conditions out there. And if you get more compressed than this, when you start bringing that up to close to that 90 degrees, it gets very tippy. It gets really dicey. You have to have a lot of control and confidence. You must row with confidence. No matter what, you must say, I am going to do this and I'm going to be able to adjust it. Okay? I'm going to be able to adjust to the conditions and handle it. And maybe you'll be wrong, but that's the mindset you have to have. But you must keep this compression. Because you can see by slowing down, and by, sorry, I shouldn't say slowing down, by shortening the compression, we start losing speed. We can see here, look at Lobnig. And Lobnig at this point is, a decent sculler, but she wasn't the Olympic medalist that she would be a few years later, right? So anyways, so here we go. Or sorry, this is the year that actually she made the Olympics. So this was pretty good. So anyways, she's way ahead. She's 12.8. These people here, look at the speed. Look at the speed. We've got a 10.2, and this is this person here, okay? This is Golby. She's fallen way off. Look at this, freaking way back, Lithuania. We look at Karsten. Karsten's going to be, we're going to take a look at her at 458. Okay? Because she's keeping pretty solid. She's keeping it very measured. She's lowered the rate. No big deal. Look at these rates, okay? 26, 25. I've got no problem in rough conditions lowering the rate by some. That is not a big deal because as long as you're getting that full compression, you're getting that lower body energy in there. You're taking the weight with those big muscles, and when the blade gets in the water, you are going to be able to drive that boat. And when the blades are in the water, the boat is the most stable it will be. Okay, so that's the important thing. So again, by keeping that length at the top end, we're also going to keep the blades in the water longer. So that means that we've got a longer period of stability for that boat. We will also have greater instability on the recovery, but we have a longer period of stability and we have a longer chance to apply those big, strong muscles. Okay, that's the important thing. So we're going to come up here to 458, I said. So we're going to come up. Okay, so now we're going to watch Karsten. And now she's starting to shorten it up here a little bit, right? She gets a few strokes that are a little bit dicey. Oh my goodness, that was a little dicey. And now she shortens it up, right? So now she's feeling shorter. She's getting a little nervous. She had a couple close calls there where things battered her boat around. And she's saying, okay, I got to shorten this up. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. So she starts not going up to the top of the slide like she was before. Okay, and again, we see this person here, Golbe, way back, okay, way back. But look at her speed. Look at her speed now. She's the second fastest boat on the water. And here's her bow. Here's her bow. And we're going to see sort of what's going on. So as this moves forward, we're looking here. Look at that compression. That's short. See, Karsten still gets some long ones, but then she gets a little dicey. She has some bad ones and she cuts it short. So Golbe here is now kind of okay, but that was pretty good compression. Look at this. That's good compression. That is an unstable boat because obviously the conditions are bad. But she's going up there with confidence, right? At some point in this race, she decided, you know what? I'm freaking way behind. I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to freaking throw caution to the wind and give it what for. Okay? And boom, we can see that compression, even in these conditions that are making Puspure, who's an excellent rower, and Karsten, who's an excellent rower, shorten up and get very tentative, very hesitant. Right? Look at this. She gets right up there. She gets way up there. Look at this compression. And as the race moves on, we start to see number 2 push forward, push forward. Again, we come over here. She's now third fastest moving because Spur here's decided, you know what, I gotta freaking kick it up a little bit. So she like increases the intensity, and you can see she's giving it a little bit more what for. So now we're gonna go up to 720. And we're looking at Karsten again. There we go. See, look at her. She's shortening that up. And now we've got this here. Look, number 2 has pushed past. Okay, she has pushed past. So she's doing pretty good. She's right there, very close speed-wise with these other two very, very, very good rowers. Even though and now she's moving faster. Look at the speed here. Look at this compression. She's throwing that caution to the wind. She's giving it what for and pushing on. These guys are a little bit hesitant now, right? And we see how suddenly, because she is taking the bull by the horns, she's not letting the fear creep in there. She's not letting herself shorten it up. She's keeping those big muscles engaged, right? It's able to move that boat in a way that the others just can't keep up with because they're not using as much of those big, strong muscles. Even though these other people are physically better than her and are more accomplished and better rowers, they're not better rowers on this day. And she has a very, very good, um, she has very good courage to keep the basics. And this is why I say, right, good rowing is good rowing. When we think of what we want from our perfect stroke, from the ideal stroke that we have, the reason we have that image in our brain is because we are thinking, what is going to give me the best leverage? What is going to allow me to apply those muscles and the power in the most effective way possible? If we then begin to change that because of the conditions, we're now not able to get the the maximum power application through that stroke. No matter what the conditions are, the stroke does not change. We can lower the rate, we can raise the rate, we can do all sorts of different things. We can focus a little bit more on hand heights and sort of making sure that we're level as we come into the catch and sitting up maybe a little bit taller. But these are all things that we want to focus on anyways. Um, and again, if we start saying, oh, you know what, I'm just going to not pull my hands all the way to the torso, I'm just going to leave them out in front of the body. Well, now we're missing the good, strong kick to the release, and we're not going to send that boat off. We're not going to get, because these blades have that bend in them, we're not going to get that snap. That's a change in the stroke that's going to ruin the mechanical advantages that the ideal stroke gives us. Okay. So when we're focusing on this, as I'm saying, this is basically about the compression. Keep that compression. As much as um, everything is telling you, your mind and your body are screaming, I want to get shorter, I want to shorten up, I don't feel safe in this position. It's water. There's safety boats on the water, they're following you. They're not going to freaking let you drown. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to get wet, and maybe people will laugh a little bit at you when you get to the shore, but that's okay because you can give a little laugh at yourself and you can say, hey man, I went for it and I ended up in the drink. No big deal, right? But if things do work out, you're going to end up with this kind of freaking lead on other boats out there. You're going to end up doing something that they simply could not hang with. And this kind of lead, look at this lead that she has on the other boats. She is so far ahead of these other boats because the whole way she just kept it going, kept full compression, kept pushing it on. No matter how many bad strokes she got, no matter how many wobbles, how many times her blades caught, no matter how many times she had a close call, she just kept it going. Full compression, full compression, full compression. While all these other people, including her, especially at the beginning, shortened up. They nerfed themselves, right? They took away that leg power that is the bread and butter of your stroke. So this here is, to me, a perfect example. You get into these rough conditions and you're seeing the best in the world, and the best in the world still get scared by it, right? They get nervous by it. And that's not uncommon, it's not unheard of, and it's not unexpected. Um, but if you can push through that and you can keep that stroke long, this is why I say that the people that say shorten your stroke through compression, shortening up that compression, they're wrong. They're wrong because the point is to go as fast as possible. Uh, and the way you do that is by getting that compression and powering away with those legs, no matter what. And again, there's no shame in going hard and having a flip, right? You gave it your all. And hey, things just didn't work out. But to me, you never want to be caught going down a race and coming off the water and saying, you know what, I think I could have done better. I think I could have been a little braver. I think I could have put a little more power into that. You never want to have that situation because those are the ones that you're going to regret much more than the ones that you say, you know what, I freaking went for it and it just didn't work out. Right? You generally won't regret those ones. So there you go. So that's what I say about compression and why we want to make sure that we always maintain compression regardless of the conditions.